Shalom Barakakati. I'm looking for some batteries for the remote. One. It's amazing when you try to find something and you can see everything else in the world except for that one thing. I need a AAA battery. I'm about to get old school. I have two choices. First choice is to close the doors. See if that'll make it more quiet. It's tolerable. Actually, I have three choices. The final choice will be to just pull the plug on the TV. My bro ran off with the batteries to the remote for whatever reason he needed it. There's three choices. Second choice, we go back to familiar grounds because we're on a boat. And this is my favorite room of the house. Trying to keep my ears open though, because Brother Ben went down the street with the hedge trimmers to go and tend to his dad's yard. And the door is open and the TV is loud. And I can still hear the music playing. And we're on a boat. So as you can see, we're back in the wooden room. We get together 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time daily, except for on Shabbat, to speak about entrepreneurship and service in our communities. Today we're talking about rocking and rolling on a boat because we still haven't gotten back to the boat that we're normally riding on. Normally we are multi-streaming to both YouTube and TikTok. However, today and yesterday, we're broadcasting on Facebook. That's because every platform can be a team player. This is really just unraveling something that I was planning to do in the future. So for those of you who catch this message, here's an early present. Every one of the special interest groups has a Gmail account. And if you have a Gmail account, you can activate your YouTube account. I just found out today it takes 50 subscribers in order for you to be able to go live on YouTube. My first account that I made, I think I've got 8. My first official, has my name on it and everything, account has 8 subscribers. And I haven't used it in so long that one of the last videos I posted is from 2,370 something days ago. Almost 10 years. 6, maybe over 7, just a bit. So anyhow, all that to say this. Today, our focus will be S.T.O.P. Stop. And we're going to be looking at community development as well as cryptocurrency investments. Normally, SOC would be the day that we would focus on the perspectives of community development. However, we have to go ahead and tie those two in. So what I'm going to do, because I decided I would go ahead and get this broadcast going, what I'm going to do is get to the point where I'm going to shut down that TV and go into the other side of the house where I can sit down and we can talk and everything. Probably even make up some coffee and whatnot. We got a party. I'm not free. Yeah, no. I No, I am bound here in captivity. Never known happiness. I will be right back. Let's see here. There's a title for this party. Like a clown. There's options, and then there was something else. Just a preview. We're about to go through the 7-page proposal of Highest Height Studio and the S.T.O.P program, so I can show you exactly where cryptocurrency fits in all of this. The reason why we're supposed to be doing it. I hear all the time people want to run away when someone says something about cryptocurrency and NFTs because it's a scammity scam. Out of 9 no's, there's one yes. Out of 99 scams, there's one right after that they all were built upon to begin with, and it's not a scam. It's something that makes a mutually beneficial situation for everyone. That's what scams are built on. It starts out with a plan where everybody gets to grow, and then someone gets greedy, and they figure out how they can cancel one person's growth while taking their net profits. That's what a scam is. In order for a scam to even work or develop, there has to be an actual system that's beneficial for both parties. So there has to be something in existence that was already working correctly. Everybody talks about scams. Who's talking about what's bona fide? Who's talking about what's vetted and guaranteed? I'll be back. Shalom Barak, peace and blessings to everyone who is in on the party. I'll be back. All right, so I apologize for the moment of silence. Guess what I found when I got down close to the floor to unplug the TV? The moment I pulled the plug out of the socket, I saw a second battery. That's how life goes, though. So, we're about to get this party started. Open my eyes somewhere around 10 or 11 today because I had a late night last night. I don't know, it was probably 3 or 4 when I actually did close my eyes, lay down, and start catching rest. It's a schedule I'm used to. Now, the thing is, I might end up awake until tomorrow's sunrise, especially if I'm just now getting my first cup of coffee. And we're supposed to go out riding on scooters this evening, so that actually means a midnight ride. Meanwhile, I pray everyone is having a great day. I pray that this message feeds all of us, mind, body, and soul. Come before you as a representative of the will of Yahweh Elohim, walking with the wisdom of Ravak HaKadesh, and living a life that is reflective of what we have seen through Yahashua HaMashiach. May those of us who have uttered the oath and the vow to live as servants within that kingdom maintain our security, blessings, and peace amongst each other and share it with others as our duty entails. S.T.O.P. Stop. The idea started way back in 2012, 2014. Now, the idea for the company, the ideas and the blueprints for the company started downloading into my brain around 2012, 2014. And that download was coming from our Father, our Creator. That's who I pray to. That's who I ask for guidance. That's who I ask for strength. That's who I ask for mercy. That's who I ask for forgiveness. Because I've been on a mission since I was very little. There's a minister in our assembly, Minister LaCrista Shahawada. She said, there's a thing about men. The moment you present a problem to them, they're immediately going to start trying to solve it. And this is true. All the way to back when I was a very little boy. I was always pondering solutions to problems. If anything came up, no matter what it was. You know, you can't ask me, boy, what your problem is. I'm liable to tell you 2 + 2. First grade. I could read, I could write, I could count. I think it was maybe the second week of school in the first grade that they pulled me to the side and tested me for the gifted and talented program. Meanwhile, I did have a problem. 2 minus 1 kept getting me. How do you get 1? Because you got 2 and you take away 1. Where'd it go? I won't lie to you. 5 years old. So you got 2. Take away 1. What do you have left? So when you took it away, where'd it go? So then they would tell you, okay, well, Johnny had 2 apples and Susie took an apple. How many apples? Well, there's still 2 apples. That's my mind. So yeah, I had some issues with subtraction. Not so much with addition. Now everything else, off the charts, off the Richter. It just didn't feed my logic. When you take something away, it still goes somewhere. Now, I couldn't give you the formula about energy being constant and mass and so forth back then. However, at 2 years old, I was talking and they were calling me Einstein. Go on somewhere, Einie. Get on, Einstein. I'm not bragging about myself. I'm telling you my life. I woke up that way. I was conceived that way. See, I'm not woke. I awakened that way. When my spirit was breathed into flesh, when I was just still a little small fleshly clot, even then. Because it took a special egg and a special sperm to develop who I am today. There were a lot of sperms that didn't get to make it. And there was only one egg. So when I say S.T.O.P started in 2012, 2014, I'm saying the foundation, the rules, the outlines, the planning started in 2012, 2014. The idea started before I was born, because before I was born, there were a whole lot of social issues going on that haven't gone away yet. Back in 2012, 2014, people were telling me that I had a whole lot on my plate, and I laughed. Bah, ha, 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 ha. Why would I laugh? Well, you see, I like to go to buffets where you can have 2 or 3 plates. And sometimes I set the plate up all nice and pretty, presentation. And other times I pile on exactly what it is that I want to eat. And by the time I'm leaving the buffet, yes, I will have had about 3 plates. Strategy. Or as one of the presidents used to say, strategery. I'm methodical, especially when I eat. And what is eating? It's beyond feeding your face. When you feed your intellect, when you feed your soul, you are eating. When you feed your well-being, then you don't have to take certain pills because you are what you eat. If someone told you that you could find all the chemicals that you see in the chemical chart in a human body, then you might have some value in science, right? You might want to pay attention then. When you find out that weird looking chart and these crazy looking little circles with the lines and everything were drawing out these so-called atomic figures and molecular bonds, it'll mean something to you when you realize that that's just a sketch of how the human being perceives environment, how the human being perceives creation. if you stop long enough and look around you, you'll start to realize exactly who you're really supposed to be serving and what you're really supposed to be doing. But if you don't stop, you'll miss it. My favorite story, you'll find this in the Quran, you'll find it in the Apocrypha. You won't find it in the Bible. You'll find it in Jasher and Yasher. It's a story about Abraham right after he was basically disowned from his father. Abraham's father's name was Terah. Terah was an idol maker. Abraham had been off studying and had learned the ways of Adam, of Methuselah, of Noah. And so when he came back to his father and saw what his father was doing, he was full of questions. Now, it's a long story. There are quite a few things that happen in it. And so I'll just make it short. Abraham put those idols to test by putting food in front of them. And when they couldn't eat the food, he remarked on the fact that it is foolish to bow down to something that has no eyes to see nor a mouth to eat. So from there, he went and sat on a hill. And while he sat on the hill, he contemplated, who am I supposed to worship? Who am I supposed to give my ultimate obedience to? My father fashions statues with wood and stone. If he made those, then there's no way that I could worship something that I could make myself. Okay? I didn't make the sun, the moon, and the stars. They're up there in the sky. They're wonderful. They're beautiful. They're brilliant. But no, something made that. Back to the ground. The wind is blowing. I've seen the sun out. I've seen rainy days. And that same nature feeds the plants and the animals. Can't worship nature. Can't worship the weather. Something, someone made all of that. The sum of all is who I should worship. Because the sum of all is the source of everything. When we give praise to our Father, we would say all praises to our source of sustenance and mercy, right? So let's get into it. S.T.O.P. Sustenance, textiles, occupations, and purpose. Now, how are we going to get all of those things? Well, you go and you join religious or theological groups. They'll tell you, well, you pray, 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 and pray some more. And go out and do righteous deeds. Okay. Now, what's prayer? And who am I praying to? And what am I praying about? S.T.O.P program started because I had heard about these programs that a group called the Black Panthers had started. Programs that were feeding those who were needy in the neighborhoods. Programs that made sure that the children were eating properly and had the correct amount of calories so that they would be able to study in schools and get the correct education for them to be successful in life. I heard about these programs. They were initiated before I was born, and by the time I was born, the Black Panther Party had been split apart, the programs had been stopped, and then the government renamed the programs and assumed control of them. Now, how did I find out this information? Some of it was from studying, and some of it was from the fact that as a child, my parents held parties, and it wasn't people coming over and getting slovenly drunk. It was people sitting around talking about social issues, parties. My friend in school asked me one day, "Hey, when's the next time your parents is having a party? Because my mom wants to come to one of the parties." I said, "Okay, she bringing your dad too?" "Yes." He lived a few blocks down from us. We all hung out together and all of that. All right. I do apologize for that. The phone decided to go off the charts for a moment. There we go. So, yeah, there were 5 black families within 50 families in a community. 5 families that came from all kinds of different backgrounds. We lived differently, and we had influence from other parts of town. So the families themselves weren't the ones that got together at my parents' parties. It was people from work and things like that. So when my friend said his parents wanted to come to a party, my chest stuck out. You know, just to be able to walk into a room, see grown folks sitting around talking about things, not arguing, not fussing, not yelling and cussing. You know, there'd be some spades playing and things like that, you know. So it wasn't that they were just sitting around on couches staring at each other trying to see who's going to be the smartest. It wasn't like that. All right. So as promised, today we're going to talk about the S.T.O.P program business proposal along with Highest Heights Studio. They go hand in hand. And the reason why today's party is also connected with SOC is because we're about to go through a whole thing talking about community development. And the idea is we need to move forward. We need to progress into the future because we've had the same problems for thousands of years. I'm not counting decades. We've had the same problems. And the funniest thing about those problems, it all started when people said, we need a king like all the other nations have kings. I'm just going to put that out there for you. Okay? It all started when we usurped the authority of our Creator by shaping it with things that pleasure our eyes and our senses. Fair? So, Section 1 ArcStead is a program that wasn't really started, it's an idea. There's a guy by the name of Kenny Grand. I need to look him up, see what he's got going and cooking, because he has proposed for us to pick up where we left off. ArcStead is supposed to be somewhat like a halfway house. As you can see, homestead and agricultural locator. We need to find some land that we can produce agriculture on, and we need to develop homes and communities for people to live in, whether that is inner city or out in rural areas. If you find areas within the inner city where there are homes that can be remodeled and so forth, if you have open lots, then you have gardens. That's just a for instance. Highest Heights TV, Highest Heights Studio. If you know who I am, if you've seen some of my posts and you are aware of the work of Highest Heights Studio, Mafia Soy Publications, we can say the same about that. Mafia Soy Publications is responsible for images, videos, audio, and other elements of promotion, as well as publishing and producing. TJ's Revisions LLC. I was considering getting an LLC at one time. And then I found out you have to pay this and then pay that. And then after you pay this and pay that, you're going to have to do it once a year. And I already had a formula. How can I do this for free? So I found another option instead of using LLCs. Trovic Wild Styles Foundation. We all need some sort of special interest group. I come from a community of artists. I walked into a community of artists around 1996. That's almost 30 years. One of the main people in that community, his name was Victor. After knowing him for over 15 years, he let me know that he was dyslexic. I saw it in one of his paintings. He'd been doing it forever, and I just noticed it one day, and I said, wow, this one's dedicated to those who are dyslexic, huh? He said, no, Pan, I'm dyslexic. He called me Pan because my name's Peter Pan. So I said, all right, well, you're not Victor anymore. Your name is Trovic. If you know anything about Wild Styles, then you know about Chicago and you know about hip hop. Trovic was from Peoria and he spent time there just like I spent time in Chicago. So what's the PMT Institute? General Equivalency, Adult Education. We're looking at homeschooling. We're looking at homeschooling for the babies all the way up to the age of vocation and preparation for people to be put in work placement. All right, let's see here. I'm sure you have seen the Highest Heights 39 Gmail. I don't use that one as often anymore. Now I use Highest Heights Studio. T Terrence 074 at Gmail. So there should be two T's there. T Terrence. And then 3P Roge at Gmail. Of course, this is all what I've penciled in. So what I type out and send out has corrections. So what's the point of S.T.O.P and Highest Height Studio? What are we doing? Establish a networking system that enriches the growth of entrepreneurs. Write different corporeal environments. We already know that corporations exist. Corporeal is when we reassemble bodies, when we assemble. Seed and cultivate passive incomes that nourish legacies and promote optimal quality of life for all who are of the indigenous Aboriginal diaspora. That's a mouthful. What does it take to build a legacy? It would mean that you have established an empire. You would have established something that keeps generating for generations. What you do now can support your great grandchildren. That's building a legacy. Seed and cultivate passive incomes that nourish legacies and promote optimal quality of life. We are in the future, and we have technology. We have ways to actually generate our own incomes through what we do with our products. That means that we have to actually legitimately register ourselves. We have to make ourselves available to the public. Because right now, corporations are available all day. You can go to any box store named by any corporation and pick 99 items out of that store and leave within an hour. Now think about it. Do you know 99 different people who offer 99 different products? And do you support those 99 different people? Because that's the way it was done before corporations. We are in the future, and there is a way for us to be able to have other people invest in us. Section 2. So what do we have going here? We want to renovate vacant lots, remodel houses, and develop lease-to-own properties. So anyone who is actually in the work placement program, while they are remodeling houses, those houses are also made available for people to live in. Move your family in there. So we should be out looking for houses that are ready to move in and houses that need to be remodeled and renovated. Apply those skills for trades. Infrastructure for communities and townships. What's infrastructure? Building maintenance, community gardens, plumbing, electricity, flowing water. What is electricity? What are solar panels? What are some options we can use to actually generate electricity aside from just going and paying a bill? Consignment markets. Let's say we got 99 people with 99 products. There should be consignment markets. So even if they're not selling locally, someone else can say, I know where you can get that. Drop shipping doesn't just have to be through Amazon. Trust funds and fraternal orders. If you have a group of people who may have different businesses, however, they share the same mindset, the same goals, then they can form a trust. And if they form a trust, it can become a fraternal order. That fraternal order is tax exempt. Grid communications array. People are all about their handy dandy iPhones and their handy dandy Androids and what communications network that they use. And we have Wi-Fi. Did you know that there's a Linux phone just like there's a Linux network system? All of the apps that you like to use for your iPhones and your Androids, you can put that on a Linux phone. What network would you use? Well, you've heard of Blackberries? There's Raspberry technology. We'll talk about that later. Private residential investments and currency equity. There's another mouthful. Private residential investments, currency equity. Number one, if you are involved in your work placement, then whatever it is that you're doing will earn the place where you live. Second, the moment that you declare that you have your own entrepreneurship and you are doing your enterprise, you can also take advantage of something that is on Web3, where you can develop your own creator coin. People run away from cryptocurrency, even though it could be the biggest treasure in your wallet. If you leave the United States of America and you go to Canada and you don't have any Canadian money, you're going to have to find somebody who has trades, someone who will exchange that for you so that your dollar can become Canadian money. If you leave the United States and you go to Mexico, now, yes, there will be people who have that type of currency on hand for you. However, you're walking into a new nation, a different border, and they all have their own currencies. Have you ever gone into town and noticed there's an ATM for US currency, and then down the block, there's an ATM for cryptocurrency? I want you to think about that. There are places where they make it just as convenient for you to be able to exchange cryptocurrency into United States cash, or even exchange coin to coin through your wallet, just as easily as you can go to a bank. That also means that you could be anywhere on the globe and exchange currency with someone else in another place on the globe, whether they use their nation's currency or a different type of cryptocurrency. Because the network that I use allows for all types of cryptocurrency. Everything that you know about that's on the market right now, if you went to, Coin Exchange or Coin Trader and all of that good stuff, for all the different coins that you know that have been listed, this is a network that actually does acknowledge the value of the coins and gives you a chance to use it. This is not just about trying to accumulate coins that you know exist on the market. This is you putting them to use. So yes, we want to actually have a physical land grab, real estate, and then we also want to start a virtual real estate land grab. That also includes your domain, your website address. That's your starter. Section 3. I wrote wrote in something real short instead of just going through and itemizing what's in that list. Inner city beautifications, bringing houses up to code, and providing suitable living quarters. Think about it. That's what brings up property value. All right, so let's go look at the company summary real quick. What's the vision? The benefits. What's the mission? To provide these things. What's the legal structure? You start out as a sole proprietor. Self-accountability. Management and personnel plan. Under 20 people, employees. Most of the time, it's just one person. Proposed location. The S.T.O.P program itself and the Highest Heights Studio does not have a brick and mortar address and location because this is a nomad studio. Wherever I may roam, I'm stomping the dust out of Rome. Facilities requirements. Electricity, internet, food, clothing, and shelter, and all supplements needed for the best quality of life. I'm not talking about pampered existence. I'm not talking about somebody with millions and billions of dollars, because that just means millions and billions of problems. I'm talking about sustenance. I'm talking about agriculture. I'm talking about building materials. I'm talking about land with a water table on it. Operational hours. Whenever I'm awake, my doors and the lights are on. Whenever I'm awake. Product or service. Tis the season. Lawn and landscape development. Needed year round. However, in the spring, that's when it really just jumps out at everybody. Light construction and contract rebuilds. Well, that goes with remodeling houses and things like that. So light construction, meaning moderate construction, unless we actually do have some general contractors who are willing to build a team to where we can do heavy construction. Purchase and sell land tracts, because it's not about just being consumers. We will need people who are in real estate retail. Community gardens and acreage produce for markets. Goes without saying. Shalom out Barak Akadarius. It's very glad to see you here. I'm glad you're here. Today's discussion is S.T.O.P, the S.T.O.P program, Sustenance, Textiles, Occupation, and Purpose. What we are discussing is the actual business proposal behind it, because the S.T.O.P program is also Highest Heights Studio, and it is also intertwined with SOC. We are looking at community development, and we're also looking at cryptocurrency investment. What you're seeing right now is the actual blueprints that I wrote out when I decided to do this plan. And I needed the blueprints written out so it's clear to me and clear to everybody else as far as that's concerned. This is not something I can do just by myself. We have people, and we need to go ahead and start putting people in their positions so that we can have something to claim. We don't need to stand around talking about what's the next move. We need people to actually stand up and say, this is what I can do. This is my ability. Because there's always a place for somebody to be where they can actually apply what their work is. We don't need any more confusion about that anymore. Simply ask yourself, what am I good at? What can I do? What is my inborn talent that I know that I can do? You need to start offering it as a service. What can I do that can benefit the community? And make that your daily activities. Section 5, market analysis. There's the target market, there's the market needs, there's trends, there's market growth, and there's competitive comparison. I'm going to tell you what my motto is. We don't look for what's trending. We look for what's mending. We already know there's a problem. We're trying to line up the solutions and get them active as soon as possible. So what's mending? Independent contractors. And our Kohelet, Kofi, has given us a new word to use instead of independent. Interdependent contractors who specialize. That's why I mentioned earlier about it would be great if we do have some general contractors, because the general contractor can assemble the team of the interdependent contractors for the light construction tasks. Go find those corporate locations that are offering local bids. You see, I found this in my hometown. Let's just say I went to the place where the city offered contracts for anybody to go and pick up certain lots. You could get 10 lots for the week. As long as you clear out those 10 lots, you will get paid a certain amount at the end of the week. Anybody can go pick up the contracts. You have to be a legitimate business. You have to have proof of insurance, so on and so forth. These are things that can be done. It's not just for somebody walking down the street pushing a lawnmower. However, if you get 4 people like that together, you have a team. Open bid contracts provided to the public. That goes right along with that as well. I've been on a team that was going around cutting the schoolyards for the public school system. Went and witnessed people who were bidding for the contract to cut a cemetery, a veteran cemetery, as a matter of fact. It's possible. So let's look at having a grocery delivery system. Tada, Kati, thank you for the gift. Let's look at a grocery delivery system. You see, I know a certain brother, one of our ministers, who is in the trucking business, actually 2 of them. There's 2 that I know of. And both of them are experienced in the subjects of hot shotting, where you load up some stuff and you move it across state lines to another location where it's needed, or just up the expressway, drop it off and pick up something else and move on. We need to start incorporating that in our repertoire. We should be running hot shots. If we grow the food, we should disperse the food. If we disperse the food, then there should be a grocery delivery system within the cities. And here we go again, drop shipment. If you know 99 people who have 99 different products, that means that we should have a contact network. So for whatever your need is, there is someone who can say, okay, well, I know where we can find that and we can send it to you. it can be shipped to you. It's not about having this large warehouse somewhere that's got a whole bunch of stuff stored everywhere. No, we're all personally making the products. So yeah, you might have 10 or 15 things, but no, we don't need 100 things sitting in a warehouse somewhere. That's overhead. That means you're paying for a storage place. That's opposite of what we're trying to do. We are trying to produce something so that we can put back into the storage place. The storage place is meant for us shipping it off to those who are needy and can't afford it. Or just the fact that we want to go back to the concept and principles of repatriation. I've already been told that people in Africa are wearing fashions that we were tired of 3 or 4 years ago, because large cargo ships take all of the clothes that we don't buy and things that are returned and things that are given away. It gets thrown on cargo ships and sent across the ocean back over there. So we need our own form of repatriation. Just as quickly as we want to get kente cloth, we need to be sending something back home too. Social media networking. People get comfortable with the social media platform sites that they go to. To some, it's going to be a surprise seeing me on Facebook, because yes, I do upload content all the time. However, no, I don't really try and go live all the time on Facebook. I had to go live on Facebook because of difficulties and situations, technical difficulties. My phone decided to reset, and now I've had to go through and use all of the different platforms that I've already set up. Instead of my main email account, I've had to use a different email account, and I've had to use other profiles just to get back into the ones that you all are familiar seeing me in. Imagine a tornado picked me up from Dallas and then dropped me off somewhere in the middle of Mississippi. And I have to scrape up resources to get back to that skyscraper in Dallas. Pardon me for wavering back and forth. All right, so social media networking. We have to get comfortable with the idea that if there's 9 players on a baseball team, we need 9 different platforms that we are broadcasting from. Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. And then, is it Sam Cooke? But I know, change gon' come. The Imam on Wolf Street at the mosque. Whenever I speak with Imam Farouk Rashid, somewhere in the conversation, he starts singing that song. Change gon' come. I know it will. Yes, it will. MashaAllah, Imam Farouk. Our Father is pleased with your work. All right, so where were we? Consignment for general contract initiation, prices, and completion. I'm just going to read through these because I have something to say. Digital media platform for exposure, operating systems, community board, fiat and encrypted currency. Fiat, cash. Whatever the national currency system is, we have that available, as well as cryptocurrency. I do too. I love this song. Fraternal orders and trusts of entrepreneurs can form an umbrella and issue shares for corporate and incorporate status. Oh, yeah. So let's say we got 10 special interest groups. All 10 of them have a creator coin, so they can invest within each other. And then if they propose a community project, they can develop a trust in the name of that particular community project. And then they can do a fundraiser. But instead of using GoFundMe, you write up what's called white pages. And white pages is basically what I'm walking through right now concerning Highest Heights Studio and the S.T.O.P program. Your white pages is your proposal. This is the concrete foundation that shows people, okay, the reason why I'm asking for your help is because this is what I'm doing. So if you go to GoFundMe and you say, we need to raise $2,000, GoFundMe says, great, we're going to take $200. I don't know all the logistics behind it. I'm just saying, for instance. And then there's the problem of what if you don't raise all of the money? Do you get that money back? Do the people get refunded when the money doesn't accumulate to what you are trying to reach? If you have your own creator coin and you are in a group of people who have done so, then you write up your white pages and you announce the community project and you say, we have a token that you can invest in where you can spend actual physical currency and it will be exchanged into this coin, that coin, whatever. And once it reaches the amount that we need $2,000. So we're going to say we need $2,200 because we're going to give back that $200 to everybody who invested. So everybody who has a coin, their own personal coin, we're going to give back that $200. And then we're going to go ahead and do this community project and you will see the proof of it. We'll show you the proof and everything. We'll show you the receipts printed out for every material that we bought, so on and so forth. Now, GoFundMe is not involved. You see, there's a reason why I've grown weary of the phrase, be in the system, yet not of it. Because people keep partaking in the system's tools instead of using our own. The system told you you have to use GoFundMe. I'm telling you, you don't have to use GoFundMe. The same way you can say, okay, send me some money in Cash App. Guess what? Cash App has Bitcoin. So you told me there's an e-wallet on Cash App and you respect that. But you're too afraid to go ahead and invest in generating your own coin. You'll put money in Cash App and you'll send money from Cash App to somebody else. You'll pay somebody for some food through Cash App. Just think about that. Selah. Fraternal orders and trusts of entrepreneurs can form an umbrella and issue shares for corporate and incorporate status. There's nothing wrong with being a corporate body. That just means that you actually have rules lined up. You have people lined up to be in certain positions. Most corporations are worth a certain amount of currency. And so they are placed on a public forum for people to be able to invest in it. There's nothing wrong with corporations. The problems occur when the wrong people are put in positions and they abuse their authority. So whether you want to be corporate or non-corporate in status, you can be a sole proprietor and generate the wealth that you're concerned with, build your empire, start your legacy, and make all the same moves when you realize that there are other choices and options out there. Marketing strategy. Now, why do we get together every day except for Shabbat on 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Why do we get together? To talk about entrepreneurship and servicing communities, and we're always looking at the perceptions of organic marketing strategies according to selected special interest groups. Your marketing strategy is in your proposal. It's the basis, it's the foundation of why I keep coming on and talking. Because it's one thing to declare, yes, I have a business. It's another to get it out there for people to even know about it. Value proposition, competitive edge, pricing strategy, and marketing programs. So what happens when you obtain and you cover city proposals? There's word of mouth. There's people that are going to say, oh, I've seen these teams out doing certain things. And then you also post it on social media, the works that you have been doing. Clear and reestablish rundown yards. I've been through towns where they have city beautiful projects. I've seen where people stop on the side of the road and pick up trash. I've seen stretches of highways given names and dedications and people spending their time and days making sure that stretches of road were clean. If you're willing to do that for your highways and byways, what are you willing to do for your residents? Share commissions with other private developers. Drop shipment. Consignment markets. Exchanging that real field work too. I lived in a small town back when my nephew was about 4 or 5 years old. And there was a guy, he had 2 trucks. One of them was a dump truck, and the other was a flatbed that he built walls around. The guy's name was Moses. I want to say his name was Abraham Moses. I'll have to look him up to make sure. The trucks were farm trucks that people used to use for harvesting beans and all that kind of stuff. You go and you harvest them once everything is grown up and just throw them in the back of the truck, and you take them to the barn and sort them out. That's when everybody gets to shell the beans out in your baskets. Long story short, Abraham Moses had started a business involving construction, demolishing, even furniture moving at times. And he would employ the people from that town, his contemporaries, people that he knew were in need of work and were able-bodied enough to get up on a roof and tear off the materials on the roof and then turn back around and bring up some 2x4s and plywood and shingles to replace that roof. I said Abraham Moses when I get my stuff together, I want to put the word out that you are out here. Oh man, you have to do all that. I don't have but 2 trucks. Well, yeah, but you've established something that could always be bigger than 2 trucks. Neighborhoods, townships, and wards, infrastructure, and agriculture. We always have to look at the big picture. It's not just what do I have going on in my household. I mean, think about it. Let's say that your trade is going to be growing strawberries. Your immediate concern becomes, who outside of my house needs strawberries? When I was younger, I came up with a precept of 7 levels. 7 levels of observance. Self, family, neighborhood, community, city, your county or your province, your state, your nation, and then the world. Because in the bigger picture, that all leads back to who are you going to report to? Because all of us have to report back to the creator. That's the one. So out of those 7 levels, what are you doing in your existence to contribute towards Yahweh's kingdom? Because in each of those are segments of Yahweh's kingdom, not Caesar's kingdom. Umbrella organizations can provide trade, services, and burden relief. Incentive programs for property and business ownership. So let's say you do have a person who specializes in demolition. That would be an umbrella company for material removal, as well as the actual demolition of these houses that are just in way too bad of shape, and there is no repair. We go and we tear everything down, and then we decide, okay, are we going to rebuild on this location, or are we going to turn it into a garden, whatever the case may be. Removal of brush and things like that when we're doing lawn care. The umbrella organizations are the ones that would provide the trades and the services. The incentive programs go in where, yes, we do have the community projects. And then on the side, we have a trust going for the up and coming entrepreneurs, ways that we can offer grants instead of trying to write a grant. Because when you write a grant, your proposal becomes, yes, I can do this. And if you give me X amount of money, I will do it according to your regulations. That's why we're not into writing grants, because this is also a grant, this whole thing. This is what you would have to do for a grant. You would have to write up your business proposal for them to understand why they would give you $100,000 for you to spend in a year. 7th and final section. Financial plan, sales forecast and assumptions, profit and loss pro forma, and your source of financing. The number one idea that you always have to keep in mind when you are conducting business is, what's the overhead? Because the overhead is going to cut into my profits. So my income, the amount of money that I make from selling my product, minus the cost. Now that's going to be my gross profit. The amount of money I have in my pocket, minus the cost of what it took to make the product. That's my gross profit. Now you take that, you take all the overhead, and then you'll have the net income, what I'm actually worth. Because after I've sold all my product at the store today, I still have bills to pay. I still have employees to pay. So after all of that is done, that's going to be the net income. That lets me know whether or not this is a successful venture. And how much does it take to run this on a daily basis? On an hourly basis, on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly, every 3 months, and yearly, 6 months, and also biannually. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? Is this something that will be steady, or do you see growth? Do you see places where things might lack? Do you see places where you might be at risk? So we've rehashed that we're looking to secure bids from city proposals. Now, that doesn't mean that that's exactly what we have to do. We could just as easily go around and offer lawn care to private homes. And if you have enough clients together, then you have a profitable business. This is just a statement as something that's, I won't say it's obvious, but it's something that we see every day. Like I said, the season is in right now for you to see people out cutting yards and tending to landscaping for bushes and things like that, planting flowers as well as shaping bushes and trimming trees and all of that. Purchase and resell realty through profits. So after we've gone through and assessed how much it costs to make the product and all of that, and we do actually have a net income, we'll take a percentage of that and put it into the trust that's generating finances for the community development project concerning buying real estate. I would take a percentage out of my income and always place it towards that. Generate employment and land ownerships. We have these umbrellas, which means that we also have master tradesmen who would be willing to take on apprentices. And I'm not talking for free trade. I'm talking about people who actually get to learn a trade and do something with it. When I learned how to be a painter on the first house that I was on, I was making more than I was making working in a kitchen. And even while I was working in the kitchen, I wasn't making minimum wage. However, I had to work overtime hours to almost equal what I was getting paid to paint. That was how that averaged out. I could go paint and get paid what it took overtime pay. And this is something that will be considered for a moderate income populace. This is not, oh, let's find somebody who has $1 million and get them to break out $100,000 10 ways. No. This is, we are starting from a very modest background And we're going to use the resources that we have, the resources within, and actually just generate growth amongst ourselves instead of throwing it away. What is produce? There's food, there's also hemp, and there's also fabrics that can be used. What can you do with hemp? I'm not talking about growing it to smoke it. The fibers from hemp can actually be used to make bricks. Bricks build walls. 4 walls form a room. Those fibers can also be used for fabrics, as well as cotton and all of that. We've already been down that road. We know that cotton can make clothes. And if we can grow it, and we know what to do in order to run it through a loom along with wool, then we can make clothes, blankets, and tarps and things like that. Why would you need a tarp? To make a tent. Why would you need a tent? Because some tents are just as sturdy as someone making a mud hut. Textiles, building materials, and clothing. Those are the things we can be manufacturing. It's a prize to get kente cloth or the other different prints and colors. It's a prize not just because of the colors, but also because of the fabric, how it is made. We've gotten so far away from something that we used to do all the time. We want to send all the way back home, and yes, we should. We want to send all the way back home for something that we should be making and putting on our own backsides. We shouldn't be worried about going to Walmart and checking the clearance rack. We shouldn't be worried about talking about boycotting on one day. Stop shopping there at all. I don't jump up and go to marches. I don't respond to boycotts and all of that. We shouldn't even be telling each other to boycott. We don't have time to tell other people about where they're supposed to be shopping because we are making products and sending them out amongst each other. Welcome to the future. That's where we're supposed to be. That would help develop the drop shipment products. If you know 99 people who have 99 different products, that's how we push those forward. Digital information exchange. If all of us have 9 different social media sites, then we are actually showing information about ourselves. And then it will show just how much of a strong force we are because all of the team is acting and moving in that same manner. That is a show of force. When you have a group of people who have lined up and said, yeah, we're all on these same social media platforms and we are so together with it that, yes, when we're posting up, everybody knows, yeah, that's coming from that group without having to stand out on a corner somewhere yelling at people and fussing and cussing. That is not a show of power. That's a show of threat. Power is knowledge applied, not physical threat. Surplus storage and usage of natural resources and utilities. Surplus storage and usage of natural resources and utilities. Aren't we supposed to be putting something back in the storage houses? If you have a plot of land and you own the allodial title, that means that you can mark it by longitude and latitude. You can look up in the sky and everything above that parcel of land is regulated by you. It's a no-fly zone unless you permit it. Whatever frequency is in the air, if you decided you wanted to put up a frequency blocker, you could. It also means that if you wanted to post up and send out a signal, you can. If you have an allodial title and your land is sitting on a water table, that means you can dispense water to other people while also have the ability to develop agriculture and grow crops, natural resources. If you have a parcel of land, you can put some wind turbines and some solar panels on it and generate electricity. Provisions for alms. Where I'm from, you only have to give 2%. 2% for charity. That's called zakat. 2% for alms. If I'm walking down the street and I got $1 in my pocket and I see someone, I'm obliged to give them 2 cents. Now, at the same time, it is said we are not to give something that wouldn't help ourselves. I wouldn't give someone a pair of socks with holes in them and I have on a pair of brand new socks. I would give them a pair of brand new socks, meaning not the ones off of my feet, not the ones with the holes in them. I would give them a pair of new socks. $2% of what you've accumulated in a day, 2% of what you've accumulated within a year. No matter how you look at it, 2%. I want to thank you for spending this time. And let's put something together. This proposal was an explanation of how Highest Heights Studio and the S.T.O.P program actually would serve the community. Highest Heights Studio is responsible for promotions, for telecommunications. S.T.O.P, the S.T.O.P program, is responsible for work placement, education, and residential placement, as well as an actual feasible means of business and finance for a growing nation. There's a reason I'm not jumping up and down and making sure that 1,000,000 people can see me while I'm speaking this message. It's not meant for 1,000,000 people because not everyone, once they see the plan, are going to go out and follow the guidelines. Whether it's the guidelines that I've written out or the simple standard that we're all supposed to agree without me having to write that part out. I shouldn't have to write out First Corinthians or Second Daniel or Amos. It should just be already right here. I've already paid thousands of dollars for someone to tell me that I have a degree in business administration. And I spent 3.5 years because I went back after I achieved my associate's degree to attempt for a bachelor's and decided no, I didn't want to do the bachelor degree because the things that they were wanting me to say and the education that they wanted me to hold here didn't agree with the standards that I had already been walking with. So what I did notice was we spent a lot of time talking about ethics and standards and this one particular code that we're all supposed to use while we navigate through Earth. We weren't just locked into one state or one nation. It was global because this university, while it said it was an international campus, we got to look at it on a global perspective for the people who come into the nation from other areas and regions and different cultures. Well, what they brought from home, they're going to keep with them. Might add on to something else with whatever they're picking up, going around other people, but you're going to bring from home and keep that with you no matter what. It's hard to erase what you've already grown into being. That's why when you meet people, you can't look at them and think, oh, I just want you to be like so-and-so. Brother Kenny, Shalom Barak to you. Namaste, because I've been seeing you in your studies. Bro, I was talking about you at the beginning of this live. The ArcStead program. Do you remember? Brother Kenny. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I just want you to see this. Because I was talking about you earlier. Remember that? Yeah, you and I need to talk. It's been a minute. Much love to you, bro. And I know you got your hands full. Unfortunately, I'm about 300 miles north of you. So it's not that we'll be meeting up physically face to face anytime soon. Yeah, we can do some talking and planning and building. That was my response the last time we spoke, as a matter of fact, last time we messaged. So thank you for swooping through and visiting in the party. Because, yes, we do need to build. It's that time. It's that time. You came in at the time that I was actually about to close out. Normally, we get together 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day except for Shabbat. On Sundays, we'll be covering question and answer. For the other 10 days, for the 14-day period for 2 weeks, we have 10 special interest groups. Each of them has its own day. That's when we discuss organic perspectives for marketing strategies. And so, yeah, this is about business, but this is also about DIY. I've been mentioning the scene a whole lot, and it is time for me to get back in contact with those active members in the scene, bro. Much love to you, and much love to all the people you've been working with lately. Can't wait to shake hands with you and give you a big old hug and all that good stuff. So, yeah, today we were talking about the S.T.O.P program. S.T.O.P. Sustenance, Textiles, Occupations, and Purpose. The main objective was we were looking at community development and also cryptocurrency investment. Get it in mind. Now, you don't have to be a business person. You can be just a private person, and you can have your own content creator coin. Yes, there's Bitcoin. Yes, there's Ethereum. Yes, there's TronX. Yes, there's Dogecoin. Yes, there's a list. I've been on Web3 for a minute, and I found a network called the Social World, a complete network set up for decentralized social media. And that's currency as well as posting. Geez, the phone went on the fritz again. So as I was saying, Web3. Facebook is Web2. YouTube is Web2. Centralized social media. Centralized banking. The social world is Web3. One of the sites on the social world, or the DESO network, one of the sites is called The Social World. That one is like interacting with Twitter. However, anyone at any given time can not only like what you post, they can tip you. If you post, and this one's for you, Kenny Graham, if you post a picture of you unloading one of those trucks, and you got 3,000 boxes to move in 4 hours, and you do your strongman pose in front of the open door of that truck, and it's piled high all the way to the tail lights, post a pic. And then you can mint that picture as an NFT. Sell it for $1, sell it for $3, sell it for $1,000 if you want to, Mr. Grand. And meanwhile, yeah, you can still go sell it as a print anywhere. That picture can be sold as a print anywhere. However, if you've got an NFT showing you about to get to work. Now, why would I want to do that? Because later on, you might announce a certain project that you have going on with the libertarians, and you all have some kind of sponsorship, and you need help getting not just the money together, but you need some individuals. You're going to need some other hands. So you can do a call out for those of you who are willing to contribute. If you buy this NFT for $1, the next person can buy it for $1.50. Let's see how high up we can raise the price on this NFT, and the proceeds will go towards this next contribution for the libertarians or whatever you've got going with the agriculture. Are you still doing the thing with the farmers that are doing tea? Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up with you. Definitely gonna have to catch up with you. So I'm putting that out there. This is for anybody so that you can understand. This is not just somebody come up with a goofy picture and then go sell it. No, there's something behind all of that. And no, it's not a scam. It's only a scam when a person wants it to be a scam. If you want to actually make something happen positive, that's right there. Because that's how existence started. Now, what people shape it into in order for them to get their form of greed satisfied is a different story. Not all NFTs are scams. Not all cryptocurrency is a scam. Tell that to the man who started Bitcoin. So, we've had a day. I'm not quite sure what time it is right now. Usually we would go to about 5 p.m. Central Time. I don't know what time it is right now. I know that I've been talking and chewing on some information. And we've come to a close with a proposal. We've done a little bit of a conclusion. Why are we here? Because it's time for a party. Who put us here? Yahweh Elohim. Who's guiding us? Ravak HaKadosh. Who showed us the way? Yahshua HaMashiach. In all ways, manners, and forms, we walk the divine path, and so let us be led that way. Help us to forgive others when they cross our paths and make us feel a certain way. Help us to not only forgive them, but show them forgiveness. Show them how to do it as well, because we're asking for that forgiveness when we mess up from those who have given us our standard. In my crew, we say Yahweh Ahava. Yahweh is love. Ahava Ahava. Love is love. Shalom Barak. Peace and blessings to you. Assalamu alaikum. Our Father's peace be with you. Amir Taba. Amir Torfo. That's all compassion in both Chinese and Japanese. That's also Yahweh Ahava. Ahava Ahava. Till next time. Bavakasha, you're always welcome. I'm glad to be of service.